Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. In this episode we are installing a oil filter relocate kit with an oil cooler. So stay tuned. Alright, before we go any further, yes, I keep calling it oil radiator when it's oil cooler, so my apologies, but let's get to it. Alright guys, so here it is, my oil system. So I decided to go with G+. It's a relocate kit with a radiator, with a fan, with all the hoses. Hopefully they fit. I mean, they're long enough. I bought extra connectors because I bought this a while ago and I had to test this piece, make sure it fits onto the block. And if I put like these straight connectors, they wouldn't work. So I had to buy extra 90 degrees. That way they can clear the firewall. Anyway, I got a new oil filter, bracket, and this thing. So we're gonna install this. Alright, so my oil filter is supposed to go right here, well, behind there, and of course it hits the tunnel or the firewall. And so instead of cutting another hole where I don't have room for because the pedal goes there, I decided to relocate it. And so I basically got one of these, and I was thinking to, this is part of the AC unit from the original, which is gonna come out, and I was thinking installing this right here, and so that way I can access the filter and then these lines can go that way and this way, so towards the radiator and the filter. I got this radiator right here, and I'm thinking to mount it on the other side of this radiator. So I'm going to take this off, and big gap of space right here. So what I was thinking is just installing it somewhere right there. First thing first, I gotta run the lines, connect it, remove this, whatever that is. I was also thinking to remove this because next thing I'm gonna do is shave the bay probably, or work on the radiator water pump system. But either way, this stuff's gonna have to be removed because I'm gonna have to paint this soon. So let's get that removed, this removed, and then see how things go. Alright, so I got that removed, turning signals, the whole light rail, and the lights. This is what it looks like. So this is where the filter is gonna go. So here's the filter, and the idea is to install it like this, right in that spot. Probably a little lower, and then that way I can come in and grab it from here when I need to change it. Alright, so basically this thing fits here, but it needs some extra room. So what I'm gonna do is cut this corner off. It's just sheet metal, it doesn't really do anything. So I'm gonna cut this little piece out like this. That way I got the extra room. Alright, so I cut the hole out, and look at all this space. So now I'm gonna grab a bracket, and so this is the bracket it's held by, and so I'm gonna tap it in here somehow. Alright, so this is the hose that's gonna run from the filter to the relocate plate, whatever. And so I wanna attach it and make sure it clears this. So I don't wanna put the filter too low or too high. So I'm gonna find a good medium and mark it where I want it, which a few centimeters, a little bit like this. So that's the mark where I want it. Alright guys, so I put this bracket on, and I'm not liking this bracket at all. It feels pretty flimsy, and there's like no room, and I honestly don't even like it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get something heavy duty. I'm gonna use this 2x2 corner piece, and this is some chunk of steel. And so what I'm thinking is I'm gonna cut out another bracket off this, put it here, and then I'm gonna weld this thing onto the actual frame or whatever it is, and this thing's gonna be pretty sturdy, because this thing, it just feels like it's gonna vibrate, and like maybe I'm just overthinking it, but at the same time, like, I'd rather just, because I don't want to fix it later, so I'm gonna build it tough now, that way I can paint it and forget about it. So that's a little update. I'm gonna remake a bracket because this one sucks. Alright, so I cut this piece out, and then we got the original right here, and then we're gonna put it together like this, mark off the holes, and then drill the 2 holes. And then if you look at the differences, steel, I don't know what that is, China stuff, China shit, but whatever. Alright, so my new bracket is done. I got a little space right there, and this thing is sturdy. It's not flexing like the other one. Got the 2 bolts. Now it's time to tap this one in right there. So since I left a little space, I don't know if you can see, there's more space, so it's further away from the frame rail and everything around. So I grinded off all the paint and stuff, so I'm gonna be able to tack this in. So I'm gonna mark it off one more time where I need it, since I took off the marking, and then I'm gonna got the welder out, and I'm gonna weld it in. Alright, so I got this tacked in. It's pretty sturdy, and I got perfect access to it when I'm going to do the oil changes. Now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna run my lines, and also I gotta figure out a place to put this in. So what I was thinking is have a line go from this thing, loop around into this hole, and then put the radiator on this side. Alright, so I got the brackets cut out, I got them bolted on, and then so you got that space right there, and then the other one is also bolted on. And so next thing I'm gonna do is clean up the area and get the welder ready and tack them in, unbolt them, and then weld them all in. Right, so I got that tacked in, and all I gotta do is drill a hole right into the center of this piece and then bolt it down. And then also I want to throw the radiator back on and make sure I clear everything before I continue. Right, so I got the radiator on, and then there is the oil radiator. So you got the radiator, the oil radiator, and the intercooler. And I got plenty of space in between these two. And so now I have to figure out my line connectors. So I gotta throw two lines. That's gonna go one in here to there, and then from there to the sandwich plate over there, and then back here, somehow like that. So I'm gonna figure that out, and then after that's all figured out, I'm gonna weld in the rest of it. Alright, so I gotta install the headlight on, just the left one. Well, kinda on, it's not really on. But so for my main concern here is make sure that's clearing whatever that piece right there, and it's like perfect. And then my other concern is this thing goes right here. I have to make sure my lines are good. So so far it looks pretty good, because this thing goes right here, that thing's over here, and this thing spins back and forth, so I have enough room to tap in here, and then from here go on to there. I got two hoses running from the block, from the oil filter plate. One's going all the way to the radiator, and so I got this extra slack, and I'm gonna probably cut it off right here I still want some slack. I just not sure how I'm gonna secure these hoses. What I'm thinking is have them running by the firewall, kind of like up top, like this, and then into here, or some other way. So I want to cut these slacks off, but I also want to leave a little bit slack to play with. So this hose goes in here. The one that comes out from here goes right here, and it's going to connect onto this side, and then this one goes right here, and it's going to connect. So I got to cut off all these extra long hoses off, and then tap these 90s in, take out these straights out, and put the 90s in. So I got two 90s right here, and so that's the idea. So I'm gonna mark everything off where I want to cut, and then take them out and then cut them. Alright, so I got all three hoses removed, and so I'm gonna cut these. I pull the tape where I need to put 90 on this thing, 90 on this thing, and then this one's just gonna take this off and move it closer and get rid of the slack. So I'm gonna cut them and redo the tips and then continue on. Okay, so if you've never seen these things before, they're pretty awesome because you can pretty much reuse them. So as you saw me unscrew this, basically this goes on the tip, and before you do that you want to push this through, and then you put this through, and then you just tighten it, and that's it. That's how this whole thing works. And so when you cut these, you want to put some tape or something, because otherwise you'll get a tip like this. And I just use a regular grinder's wheel to cut them, because you got like metal inside and rubber and all that fun stuff. So anyway, basically I gotta do this on all three hoses, and yeah, so alright, so I got all three hoses done. So these are all cut-offs, all this extra stuff, but here it is, my three hoses, and now I'm gonna go and connect them. Alright, so I got these two connected, I mean the hoses, and then they loop around, go around, and voila. So this thing needs to be still welded in. It's tacked in, but I still need to weld it in, and then I also need to drill a hole out right here and screw that on. Since I'll be pulling everything out, I'm just gonna pull these hoses out so it's ready. I'm gonna take it all out and put it back in the box, and then weld up the stuff that I need to weld up. So once everything's painted, the new engine's in, I'm gonna take the hoses out and then install them. But for now I'm gonna remove everything. Alright, so I got all that stuff welded up. Yeah, all those 2 brackets and that thing. And then I took everything out, put it in its boxes, and then we're just gonna throw it up top and forget about it until we need it. Probably, hopefully in a few weeks. Alright guys, that is it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you let me know down below. And if you guys want to see more, make sure you subscribe, because this build is continuing and it's getting a pretty good progress on it. Also, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram. That's where I post a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of sneak peeks of what I'm working on currently, not editing my episode from 2 weeks ago. And so yeah, we'll see you next time. Have a great day.